In 1950, half of Americans owned a home by the age of 30. Today, 1 out of 10. Household debt just hit $18.6 trillion, the highest in history. And the average first-time homebuyer is now 40 years old. So what broke the American dream? And can you still buy a home in 2026? In this video, we're covering why debt hit record levels while wages stayed flat. How cheap credit priced out an entire generation. What this actually means if you're trying to buy right now. And 4 strategies that will work in this market. Stick around because by the end, you'll understand exactly how we got here and what you can do about it. I'm Matt Jolivet, president of Associated Mortgage Brokers and a licensed mortgage broker in Oregon, Washington, and Idaho. I've been doing this for 26 years. I've been through the dot-com crash, the housing crisis, and the pandemic market. Every cycle is different. And right now, I'm watching the data closely to figure out what's coming next for all of us. Look, I enjoy digging into the numbers, trying to figure out what's happening, what will happen, or if it's already happened. If you're new here, hit subscribe. We're cutting through the noise together. Now let's get into it. Section 1, the debt crisis. According to the New York Fed, household debt just jumped to $197 billion in 1 quarter. Here's what we owe right now. $13 trillion in mortgages, $1.7 trillion in auto loans, $1.7 trillion in student loans, $1.2 trillion in credit card debt. Total debt is up 60% over the last decade. And this isn't happening during a recession. Unemployment is near historic lows. People are working. They're earning, but they're borrowing faster than they're making money. So why is everyone in debt? Well, because wages didn't keep up with costs. Median household income rose 30% in 10 years. Sounds good, right? But home prices went up 90%. College tuition up 50%. New cars cost about $48,000. That's up 40%. Even if you're doing everything right, getting promotions, saving money, everything around you is inflating faster than your paycheck. That's why credit cards and personal loans are at record highs. They're the bridge between what you earn and what life actually costs. Section 2, how cheap credit broke the system. Look, this didn't happen overnight. For 40 years, our economy ran on cheap credit. Every time something broke, the dot-com crash, the housing crisis, the pandemic, the Federal Reserve dropped rates close to zero. That's made borrowing easy, but it also inflated the price of everything we borrow to buy. Homes, stocks, college, all of it shot up. If you already owned a house, this was great. Your equity doubled. Your 401k exploded. But if you were just starting out, trying to buy your first home or pay for college, you got priced out. Decades of low interest rates pulled future demand forward. It made today's market brutally expensive. And here's the problem. The Fed is in an impossible position. We've been on this cheap money cycle for so long that anytime rates move up, everyone acts like the sky is falling. But if they keep rates low, they fuel more inflation and price people out even further. They're stuck. And so are we. Now we've got one generation sitting on assets they'll never need to sell, and another generation financing every part of life just to survive. Now here's what nobody's talking about. Even people who've made cutbacks are still spending more. I've personally cut back on expenses, but I'm still spending more than I was just a few years ago because everything just costs more now. Section 3, the housing crisis. And nowhere is this clear than in housing. The median age of first-time homebuyers is now 40 years old. It was 33 just a few years ago. It was 29 back in 1981. First-time buyers make up only 21% of all home purchases. That's the lowest on record. Meanwhile, repeat buyers, mostly in their 50s and 60s now, dominate the market. They show up with cash, big down payments, and decades of equity behind them. Younger buyers, they're stuck. Student loans, car payments, credit cards, all of it pushes their debt-to-income ratios too high. Even with great credit, the math doesn't work out. The average person simply can't qualify for the same kind of home their parents bought at the same age. And here's where it gets permanent. 70% of current homeowners have mortgage rates under 4%. Those low rates are golden handcuffs. They can't sell because buying again would double their monthly payment. And honestly, I don't blame them for staying put. If I had a 3% rate, I'd be doing the same thing. But that decision by millions of homeowners is locking out the next generation. It's rational for individuals, but terrible for the market as a whole. So inventory dries up, prices stay high, and the next generation can't get in. The housing market isn't broken, it's locked. Locked by policy, locked by debt, locked by demographics. Section 4, what this means for buyers right now. So if you're trying to buy a home right now, here's the reality. You're competing against people with more equity, lower rates, and bigger down payments. But that doesn't mean you can't win. It means you need a better strategy. And I know some people will say, just wait for rates to drop. But here's why that's a terrible piece of advice. When rates drop, everyone else who's been waiting jumps in at the same time. Inventory gets crushed. Bidding wars come back. Prices spike. You end up paying more for the house than you save on the rate. Here's what actually works in this market. Strategy 1, get fully pre-approved early. I don't mean a quick online estimate. I mean fully underwritten with a lender who's reviewed your documents. Sellers want certainty. In a competitive market, that matters more than price. Strategy 2, know your debt to income ratio. If you're close to the limit, pay down high interest debt before you start shopping. It increases your buying power way more than saving another $2,000 for closing costs. Most people don't realize this, but your debt to income ratio is the single biggest factor in how much you can afford. Strategy 3, focus on payment, not just price. A $400,000 house at 7% costs the same per month as a $550,000 house at 4%. If rates drop later, you can always refinance. You can't refinance your purchase price, but if you wait for rates to drop, you'll be competing with everyone else. And prices, they will jump. Strategy 4, look at non-traditional loan programs, down payment assistance, first-time homebuyer programs, FHA loans, portfolio loans. These programs exist specifically to help buyers who don't have 20% down or perfect income ratios. Most people, they don't even know if they can qualify. Look, I've been writing loans for 26 years. The buyers who win in tough markets aren't the ones with perfect timing. They're the ones who understand their numbers and move with confidence when they find the right deal. The market isn't fair. Look, no market's fair, but it's impossible, but it's not impossible either. You just need to understand the game that's being played. Section 5, where we're headed. So where are we headed? If current trends continue, household debt could hit $22 trillion by 2030. Credit card rates will stay around 22%. Home ownership will keep concentrating among wealthier households. But cycles, they always turn. The pendulum swings in both directions. I've watched this happen before. We went from everyone getting approved with a pulse in 2006 to nobody qualifying in 2010 to bidding wars with no inspections in 2021. It always corrects. Eventually, rates will come down. Wages will rise. Affordability will slowly improve. The question is, will you be ready for when that window opens? Because when the market resets, opportunities will return. But they'll favor people who understand the cycle, not people who ignored it. So that's where we're at. Record debt, record home prices, the oldest first-time buyers in history. But here's the truth. People are still buying homes every single day. The difference between them and everyone else, they had a plan. They knew their numbers and they moved when they were ready. I'm Matt Jolivet, your licensed mortgage broker in Oregon, Washington, and Idaho. I dig into the data and share what I find out about housing and what you can actually do about it. If this helped, hit that subscribe button, drop a comment below if you have any questions. And I'll see you on the next one.